Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are in the world. My name is Martin Gray, and I am here today with Angela Rideau, the author of Honeybee, with a special Poetry Times news advisory. So welcome to the show, Angela. How are you today?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on, Martin. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And what an exciting project that you've got set up. This is fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show as well. So thank you very much for coming. Can you start, please, by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I am Angela Rideau. I'm based in London, in England. I'm a mum of two. E-learning is my day job, and writing and poetry I've recently discovered is my passion. So as you can see behind me, I have written a book called Honeybee, which hopefully we will be talking a little bit about today. But I also have a poetry podcast called Poems from My Heart, in which I explore the voices of other activists, writers, poets, performers, illustrators, anyone with a message and a story to tell. And I usually do that through spoken word poetry. So that's me.
And it's a wonderful podcast, and it's an absolutely wonderful book as well. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. Can you tell our viewers a little bit more about Honeybee, please? The themes, the messages. I know it's split into five different sections.
Yeah, I mean, Honeybee essentially is, it's an autobiographical story, poetry, prose. It is poetry and prose. And what I've done is I've put it into this book and split it into 5 chapters. But the key message is about empowerment, and it's about celebrating a sisterhood, hence why it's called Honeybee, which I can explain later. But the 5 key themes are heritage, which is about growing up, colonialism, the caste system, which is prevalent mostly in India, but crossed over to the diaspora. There's a chapter called Hurting, which is about trauma, abuse, and addressing all of the taboo issues. Like the entire book is about talking about addressing taboos that exist, especially within the South Asian community. This Body is a chapter which is about womanhood, femininity. It does talk about colorism, miscarriage, endometriosis, topics that aren't very widely discussed. Then there's Rising, which is about empowerment and sort of celebrating the positive things that are in your life and overcoming the obstacles. And lastly, Healing, which is about the Ayurvedic elements that exist within the Hindu system, the Hindu religion, sorry. And it's about overcoming the adversities. So there's an arc in the book, and there's 5 key chapters. And I think the message is one of love and healing and openness, and trying to get people to talk about and address some of the things that are not really spoken about, like abuse or caste systems. There's lots of things in there, but it is autobiographical. So it's seen from my lens, and hopefully many other people will be able to relate to it, whether they share the same culture as me or not.
Well, absolutely. And certainly one thing I found when reading the book is that I found it very educational, particularly about endometriosis, particularly about the caste system as well. Are you able to expand any more on those particular points, or some of the messages you were talking about?
Yeah, I think things like, for example, endometriosis, it's a condition that many women, 1 in 4 women suffer from this condition. And it starts when you're on your menstrual cycle, and a lot of people don't realize they have it. So all my life I had been thinking, and I suffer from endometriosis, and all my life I'd been thinking that, oh, I just have really bad menstrual cycle, like it's really painful. And I didn't actually realize that this is an actual medical condition until I was diagnosed many years later. And I just could have kept quiet about it, because the response that you generally get is stop moaning about it. It's just a period, it's normal. But unless someone else has suffered the same thing, they don't know what the signs are, the symptoms are. And I think there's a lot more medical research behind these type of issues. So a lot of people now, when I talk to them as a mother, as a woman who's 39 years old, and I say, oh, I have endometriosis, many people are aware of some of their own conditions. And it causes a lot of problems in terms of stress within your body, in terms of fertility. It can cause problems for you trying to conceive, and it's quite a it's one of the most painful conditions that I can think of as a woman. So it's like I knew what a contraction, a pregnancy, a giving birth contraction would feel like before I was even pregnant, because it was the same level of pain for me. So can you imagine, like, an experience that many people talk about, which is giving birth, but having experienced something that painful all my life and not knowing that it was something that was an actual condition that you can seek help for, and you know, there's a procedure. So that's one of the things that I spoke about.
And certainly, you know, I love the arc in the book and the way it has this cycle where it goes back to positivity and goes back to, I'm not sure if redemption is the right word, but sort of a validation.
Rising. Yeah, I mean, it
Absolutely.
starts off with me. It starts off with me talking about heritage, which explores one of the things you've mentioned, which is caste systems. And as a British Indian person, I was born here. I grew up here. A lot of my family's here. I consider English my first language now. But for a lot of people, they don't understand some of the culture that's brought over, and other Indian people don't understand it either, let alone some of my friends who are English, perhaps. And when I sort of explain to them, well, there's this sort of oppressive hierarchical system that existed in another country, and it still exists in India, and it's based on a religious system, like a tiered system. So it's kind of like class systems, but you can never break free from that caste. So you live and die in one particular caste. So caste systems went back hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and it's based in the Hindu religion. And if you were born into a high family, you would forever, your children, their children would forever be in that family and that caste system. And I was born in a caste system which is called Dalit, and there's many, many Dalits who exist, and they've been oppressed and marginalized, and they've been denied education and denied rights. And that's been really, really difficult to process. And some of those parts of my heritage, I'm really ashamed that this system exists. But we are part of that system, and it has transferred over to the United Kingdom, where people won't get married to someone else. So if you meet someone, you fall in love with them, often the first question people ask is, well, hang on a minute, let's just check the caste system. So they'll start asking about, you know, what level in the hierarchy you are. And I found that quite difficult to, in terms of equality, like in the Western world, we talk a lot about equality, a lack of discrimination. So this was something really difficult to digest, because my Eastern roots and my Western roots were completely, completely different. I mean, there's many, many positive things in the Eastern culture as well. But I found this particular thing quite important because it shaped the way I saw the world, and it shaped the way my parents saw the world. And I think it helped me to pursue education, because my background is in teaching. And it helped me to think about, you know, where I would want my children to be, and for my parents to shape how they wanted me to be. Having been denied education, they really pushed it.
Well, there are some very, very powerful poems in Honeybee, absolutely, that deal with these subjects, and certainly some very perhaps eye-opening subjects for me, you know, not being so familiar with some of these themes, and absolutely to open a conversation, or to further a conversation and talk about these things. This is what we do. This is all part of the process to improve things and improve situations, and, you know, increase these dialogues. So can I ask then, what inspired the title of Honeybee?
I think for me, in my life, on a positive note, I am one of 4 daughters. And I think being as part of a sisterhood was always such a defining thing for me. I bonded very well with other women. I had like a whole bunch of friends that were women. But in my life, I found that whenever I've hit really big obstacles, it's always been women who've come to my aid, and it's always been women who have been really empowering and inspiring. And that's why I think Honeybee was a celebration of this, the fact that, yes, you might have adversities and obstacles, but you will find a tribe of people who can help you. And that's when it sort of starts talking about the healing process, because honeybees are actually, most people might know this, they're led by a queen bee, which is a female queen bee who organizes everything. And the hive is made of lots and lots of honeybees as well. Some some male drones as well. But honeybees, they make honey, they pollinate, they're essential to our ecosystem. And I think they're really, really underrated. And they're constantly producing and pollinating. And I related this pollination to fertility, like where women being fertile and making the next generation of humans. And I just thought that was really nice and empowering, that there's this sisterhood that works together. So in my book, I've sort of named my 4 honeybees, the 4 key women in my life who've shaped and helped me to grow as an individual. So it was supposed to be a really positive look on dealing with some of the difficult topics that I talk about.
Fantastic. And so we've heard a lot about the themes and the sections and the topics in Honeybee. I would love to. I'm sure our viewers would love to hear a poem from the book. Would you like to read it for us, please?
Yes. I'm going to do something that's slightly more light-hearted, because a lot of the topics I spoke about are quite heavy. So I'll pick something that's a little light-hearted. Okay, it's called Lion's Mane. Some cultures believe hair contains memories, tying us to Mother Earth like grass blowing in the breeze. Memories of long ago, my hair woven together with the help of almond oil in waist-length plaits that boys would pull. Adults would translate, "It's because he likes you." What equation links love and cruelty? Memories of ritual Indian head massages from the soothing hands of my mother, who always made my troubles disappear. Memories of weddings attended as a teenager, where aunties would complain of my bushy mane, a puffy halo of hair hastily wrapped up, like a dirty secret gathered into a lopsided bun. I felt the center of my gravity shift to one side. Wild hair in new places, signs of maturing into a young lady now. I wasn't allowed to play with the other kids outside. Memories at university of straightening my problem tresses, ironing my hair like creased up dresses, the hot iron pressing my head down at 90 degrees, right up next to the crown. My heavy, frizzy, dull locks now smooth, straight, flowing Western beauty standards promoted to make us all look the same. Uniform. But I didn't think to question. You wouldn't try to tame a lion's mane. My little girl echoing my words back to me. Let's wrap the warmth of it around us like a woolen scarf. Let's bathe it in oils. Let's massage the standards out. You were never meant to be a clone. You are a unique lioness. Beautiful, just the way you are. Wear it with pride. Your luxurious fur, your ebony crown. Some cultures believe hair contains memories. I just wanted to share this as well, because there's a wonderful illustration in the book there, made by somebody called Isha Joshi. So the entire book is illustrated with some amazing poems. That was one of my longer ones, but it's slightly more lighter-hearted topic. But I like the way that it relates to my daughter and the kind of legacy that we have in terms of the messages, in terms of beauty standards that we pass on, in terms of colorism, like how light or dark your skin is, because a lot of people prefer fairer skin, and that's like a beauty standard that's being passed down. And there's like bleaching creams and all these things. So that's like an entire other conversation. But for a lot of women, hair means so much to them. And I think often the message that we pass on can be subconsciously biased towards a particular beauty standard. So this was about my daughter, really. It's not so much about hair. It's about femininity and the message, and challenging beauty standards, and thinking about the message that we pass on to our sons and daughters, or the next generation.
Absolutely. And it's exactly that, isn't it? And that's a really good example in certainly, particularly when I read through it, that was one of the poems that really stood out for me. It's one of those ones that really encapsulates a lot of the book really well. So thank you very much for sharing that with us, and also thank you very much for taking the time to come on the show today. And just as a final question from me, so where can we find more of you and where can we find the book?
Okay, so I have a website called angelarideau.com. So you could just search my name, angelarideau.com. I'm on Instagram, Twitter. I have a Facebook page, a YouTube channel. So the website is probably the best place to go. And if you're thinking about grabbing a copy of Honeybee, please do. It's currently available in ebook and paperback, and it will soon be out as an audiobook. You can pick a copy up in Amazon, or if you're looking at ebooks, you could do Kindle, you could do Kobo, Nook, it's on Apple, it's on Barnes & Noble, all the major platforms. So I will share those links with you and hopefully you can pass those on. But angelarideau.com.
That is absolutely amazing. So thank you very, very much for your time today, Angela. So this has been a Poetry Times news advisory with Angela Rideau. Please don't forget to watch our main show every Monday at 7:00 p.m. London time. And until we meet again, happy poeting, and we'll see you next time.